Welcome back, fellow warriors, to the stage of history. My name is Cosmo Jazz, and today, yes, your eyes do not deceive you. I have the Fire God Liu Kang skin. As you can see, I've used it for both variations right here. So, you're probably wondering to yourself, how can I get this skin? And the answer is fairly easy, really. Well, for one of these skins, because there's multiple versions of the skin. But the answer that you were looking for is the Gauntlet, which is where the title of this video comes in. And yes, I'm sure you've already probably tried the Gauntlet at least once. But as you can see right here, the Gauntlet has 30 stages. And you must defeat all 30 stages to get both the Fire God skin for Liu Kang and one of the ending skins for Kung Lao, as well as one of the skins for Garrus. Now, you're probably wondering to yourself, how am I supposed to do this? Especially when it says very hard up there. And believe me when I tell you, the Gauntlet is absolutely no joke. They were not kidding with this whole thing saying a series of challenging towers that will break even the greatest warriors. But I believe in you, you can do it, and what I'm about to tell you is going to try to help you even if you're an intermediate player, a pro player, a high level player, a low level player. I'm going to try to help you best I can with the information I'm going to be giving you. So, without further ado, let's begin. Now, we're going to start looking at some consumables, actually. Alright, first, now we're going to talk about the characters you might want to use in the Gauntlet. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, why can't I just use my character? And if you're at that level where you are very confident in your character and so forth, do so. I'm not going to stop you. However, I was also very confident with Scarlet, and while I did do fairly well with the character, I did find that there were certain situations where you probably would like to know some other characters to make your situation in such tower, whether it be Tower 15 to Tower 30, fairly easier for you. Plus, there are towers, stages that will make you, force you to play characters. One being that it will be Scorpion, and then the last tower, after you've done those two towers beforehand, will be Sub-Zero. So, it would not hurt to possibly learn a little bit about these characters before you head into the Gauntlet, because they are going to help you tremendously throughout the entire thing. But as far as the characters that I personally use for the towers in the Gauntlet, I ended up using Scarlet, Liu Kang, Scorpion, Sub-Zero for that one tower because I had no choice, Cassie, Sonya, and Raiden. And I only use Raiden for one particular situation, which we will get to later when we get back to consumables, which are going to be absolute key for this game. Like, super absolute key. Like, there's literally no way of winning the Gauntlet without your consumables. You can have all the skill in the world, and they will still mollywop your ass. So, let's just go ahead and get to the consumable parts, shall we?
Liu Kang.
Now, I'm using it this way because I feel like this is easier to show you with the way it looks right here than it is in my inventory, because the way it is in the inventory has it in a kind of different light or whatever. So, I feel like this is easier for you. Now, I'm going to dispel something for you right off the bat. Just because something has 2 slots, or, well, hold on, 3 slots like this, does not mean it is a better overall consumable. In fact, what I found mostly in the Gauntlet is that things that take 3 slots or 2 slots tend to not be nearly as good as they're worth. But there are certain ones with 2 slots that are actually pretty darn good. For example, the Magma Fist. Now, I'm going to tell you something that you're probably going to think that's like, oh my gosh, this guy is so stupid, why am I listening to him? And to each their own after I say this. But in order to get the full effect of the Magma Fist, you actually have to hit the opponent with your fist. I know, shocking. When I used this, I thought I could just attack like normally and get the same effect of the Magma Fist without having to use my fist. So I started off using the one person that really doesn't use his fist for, let's say, well, at least not a lot, Liu Kang. And I kept wondering to myself, the Magma Fist kind of sucks. Why is it not doing any damage? And then I started actually using his 1s and 2s, or for those who don't know what that means, his square and triangle attacks. And next thing you know, I'm burning through my opponents like crazy. Kind of funny, right? But just in case you don't know that, now you know. And you can laugh at me all you want, I don't care, because at the end of the day, I still got the skin. So, but I will tell you right now that there are certain consumables you're going to feel like you're going to want to use at the very beginning of the Gauntlet. And when I mean very beginning, I mean from 1 to 15. And I'm going to tell you right now, wait. If you can save them, because you are going to need them, especially the second you hit 20. Because 20, skill kind of goes almost out the window, and it's almost about your consumables and what you can do with them. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a couple of consumables that are definitely things you want to use when you get to the big things. For example, Crystal of Life. You get these quite often depending on what you're doing in the kind of areas similar to where you get money and stuff from. Like you're getting mostly just consumables, not stuff or anything like that. Sorry about that, I didn't mean to do that, but I wanted to go to Tower Select so you can see where you can look for these kind of things. Where I've instantly found it, because you see I have 43 of them. But in towers like these on the left hand side, there's a good chance you're going to see things like Aetherial Armor, which is actually pretty good early on, and Crippling Spike Guard, which can help with fights that allow the opponent to have armor on it. It can actually help you get through that. Things like that are in this side of the not the Gauntlet, but the Towers of Time. So every once in a while you'll see them and stuff like this. Like,
Fatality.
no, not this time. Maybe over here? Nope. Oh well, so much for that. But maybe every once in a while you'll see them in places like over here and whatnot. But a lot of these ones I'm going to show you are definitely kind of good to have. I'm just going to keep it this way. I wanted to do it the other way, but it is what it is. But Crystal Life, amazingly good. But it takes 2 slots. This is why, if you can have the chance, you're going to want the Shard of Life. Yes, it does a lot less as far as giving you back health, but it takes 1 slot, which allows you to give 2 more slots of consumables, which becomes big later down the line and stage 20 to stage 30, even in the earlier stages. Now, we also have the Aetherial Armor, which is good for when you have to do specific things. For example, getting brutalities in all the tower, or doing crushing blows within the towers, or doing fatal blows within the towers. This can help you tremendously because when you have it and your opponent's attacking you, you're not being stunned. So when you have those crushing blows that makes you say you have to punish your opponent with X thing to get the crushing blow, or you have the fatal blow where you're trying to hit the opponent but they seem to be blocking everything, so on and so forth, this is good for you. This one is very specific, but you do want it if you have it for that specific reason. And a lot of the Gauntlet is very specific, but it doesn't hurt to have the thing that you need, which basically it breaks cards. These right here are so good when it comes to anything in the Gauntlet because it heals you over time. And depending on how low it is how fast they recharge. But man, there are times where you were just getting bombarded with just attack after attack after attack. Also to keep in mind is that eventually you're going to get to a point in the Gauntlet where your damage literally does next to nothing, where their damage does over 50% for maybe 5 hits. And I'm not kidding you. In the towers 20 to 30, it gets that bad. These are very key because while this is good, you can heal yourself that one time, it takes forever to come back. Versus this, well, it's coming back and it's healing you over time. So you can keep going the entire time. So, these are great. If you can get those, get them. Now, let's go on to some more attacking consumables, shall we? Melina's Sai, Severed Head, and the Broken Quiver are a great combination of keeping your opponent kind of either a little bit away, but not too far away, and stunning them. So you can do your big damage combo. Now, also you have this one, which is the Ball of Kombat Blood, which anything that has like blood on it, more than likely is going to be something to give you health back. Which could be very good if you have this one with the Witch Blood as your whole tower consumable. However, you're probably not going to be using those kind of things for your whole tower consumables because there's some things that are going to be way better down in the long run. But we'll get to that in a second. Force Ball, very good for stopping the opponent dead in their tracks when you have the big combo, because you also have the breakaway mechanic, but you can only use that when you have meter, right? So this is another way of stopping that for happening, and it's quick. It comes back very quick. Homing Missile comes back very quick and can stop the opponent when they're trying to beat you down. Flash Grenade is very hit or miss. It's, I don't know if you're going to be using this a lot, but if you have to use something down in the lower levels of the Gauntlet, it's not the worst thing in the world. This right here, if I made a tier list for consumables, this would be S tier. Now, the problem with this one is that it actually has to hit the ground to actually do any effective damage. But when this thing does damage, not only does it send your opponent flying back, so if you need to get them off you, they can, it does massive damage. It doesn't matter what any part of the Gauntlet you're on. This is good, especially if you have something like the Quiver right here with Kung Jin, and maybe a flash. No, maybe like something else to kind of hold them down so that they can actually land the hits. But something to like keep them down so they can actually get hit by this thing. It's so good. And I messed up early on because you actually get those things in the second tower, I believe. The second stage tower. With Cassie and Jackie. You get this, you get that, and I think you get something else. And I wasted them in the early missions, and I hated it for it. Because I could have used those way down the line. So if you have these, wait. And I'm going to tell you a trick that I use in order to let me see what I really want to use during certain situations. But we'll get to that in a bit as well. Any of these summon X characters into the thing, I found them completely trash. Absolute donkey. Like, because the problem with it when it comes to later down the line in the Gauntlet is that you cannot summon them without hold. You can't hold block. You can't really be moving and doing moves at the same time. You have to basically be fairly still and then summon it, then go. And that's not good in the Gauntlet because the opponent is always moving towards you, trying to destroy you in every single way possible, and they have consumables as well to help them do so. A lot of the times better than your consumable, and they are a lot of times more effective than your consumables. So the last thing you want to do is stand still and hope that you are using the right thing on the analog stick, because the analog stick on PS4 is not always the most responsive thing when it comes to consumables right here. Like, I could do left, and for some reason it'll do left and down and use two consumables at once. And that could be very bad for these kind of things, because whichever direction you use for these sets of things, it does a certain move. So say you want Johnny Cage to do a fireball, but instead it counts it as down, so he's doing a flash kick or the green kick, and now you're left open because he didn't do the thing you wanted, and the opponent's right next to you all of a sudden. And now you're getting hit with lightning bolt too, so you can't block, and now you're getting get your butt kicked. This is where I kept running into with the Gauntlet when every time I was using these. Now, if you have your AI playing, these might work a little better because the AI is able to do these things fairly easy without really kind of standing still. I don't know how they do it, but it is what it is. But as far as I'm concerned, possibly these are just trash. Don't bother with them. Just if you are, do the sector one, because that flamethrower is actually pretty good. It's fairly good. And then not only that, the fact that they take 3 slots to use as well. Just don't do them. This right here is good for your AIs, in my opinion, if you're trying to just let your AI try to do it, because it disables your opponent's blocking. With your opponent will get into a blocking frenzy over time. Like, they will block everything around stage 13. Like stage 13, they will just block everything, and it's going to be hard to hit the opponent. So that is going to be crucial. I mean, you could use it too, by all means. If you have it, use it. But let's see here. This is good, but I didn't have any of these things at the time, so I don't know how good overall it does. But I think that if you use these, it'll be a definite kind of reset situation thing. So that's very good. This right here could be very good as well. However, I want you to know that the Gauntlet absolute loves to use this kind of consumable against you. And the reason for it slows you down, so that you can't even use your combos properly. You'll literally be doing a fairly quick combo, but by the time you get to the second hit, the opponent has already hit you 5 times. They love this mechanic. So this is where those other consumables that I showed you to stop the opponent from doing things comes in very handy. Shinnok's, I'm just gonna call it Shinnok's Amulet. That's what it is. Let's be honest here. But this is also good for those unblockable moments. However, I ran across a couple times actually, I've used this, and somehow the opponent was still able to block my attacks. Maybe it's just the AI being cheap, I don't know, but it's finicky. I've never used this, and I feel like anything that actually takes your health away in the Gauntlet is not good. So, pass. This is very good, especially for one slot. I am shocked, absolutely shocked this is one slot, because it's literally what you saw in KI, a combo breaker. Like, maybe it's because it only goes to the ground, but the opponent seems to always get hit by this thing. I've never seen the computer block once. This is super good. Shard of the Saw is extremely good. Use it. In fact, That's one of the ones where I actually got it quite a few times just doing other towers. You might not, but if you do have a lot of them, use them in the earlier towers if you need to. They will help you a ton. Meteorite core, very good, but it takes 2 slots. So I would suggest, if you're going to use it, maybe have a character you are very familiar with, or a character that is great at range, because it does not come back fast. And being that it only has 2 slots, you only have one other thing to use if you need it, for as far as consumables and stuff. But it does a good bit of damage if it hits at the very top. If it hits anywhere on the side, it just kind of pushes them to the side, maybe pushes them away. But if it hits at the very center of it, it does great damage. Okay, so when it came to any of these that have, like, the opponent needs to be near you in order for it to take effect, I found anything that wasn't life-taking commas. Bleh. Oh, that's a weird word. I found anything that wasn't this that had that fairly bad, because let's see if I have it. This right here I thought would be excellent for this. However, it seemed as though if the opponent was hitting you, it would work, or if you were hitting the opponent, maybe it would work. It was never the opponent needs to be near you, because they would just stand there right next to you and act like nothing would happen. In my situation, as far as in the Gauntlet. So I didn't like these. This one was okay, did not work so well. This was the only one of these that I found to actually work. They actually did what they said they were going to do, and there were times where I was not really doing so well fighting against the computer, because the computer can reach your buttons, and I still got the win because they were near me. So I still took their health. So these are good. These are good for early takedowns. This right here. Okay, we're gonna get into rockets now. Now, these rockets right here, I'm just gonna tell you right here and now, this is what you should be using in the early stages. You should be using these rockets. Why? Because you get a bunch of them. You get a bunch of them just doing regular towers, and you get a bunch of them from the Gauntlet itself. Not like a much to make like an infinity amount of them, but you get enough of them to where you should be using these, especially since they take 1 slot, and you can really go with your skill-based things in the earlier sets. And it helps you save all the good stuff for later. This right here is literally what you need. Especially something like the plasma infused death rocket, which once again is a blood consumable. If it hits, you get your health back a little bit. And then you have something like the liquid nitrogen filled explosion, which also helps freeze the opponent. Now, they're not foolproof by any means. If you've used these, probably you've seen that, like, when the opponent starts moving really fast, they kind of just go around the opponent and whatnot. But you can, with enough practice, you can use these very effectively. I promise. No matter what skill level you have, you can use these down in the earlier stages. These right here, where it says player becomes immune to X thing, are very hit or miss. Personally, I would say if you are an intermediate player that does fairly well online or whatever, you can use these. Because they, as you see, they take 2 slots, but they have one specific weakness. And they go with the same weakness that goes with this. These right here. You have to be centered, but there's another weakness, and I'm going to actually show you that right now.
You can.
And for example, I'm going to be using, let's just use a random one. the ice one. And let's use a rocket too, just cause. Right? Alright. I'm just gonna show you the biggest weakness about these consumables. I'm letting you look at this little lit skin here.
Against Raiden, you took my side.
To hear you out, nothing more.
Your discretion saved Earthrealm.
Round 1. Fight.
Alright, you didn't see it there, so I'm gonna try to do it again. Because Scorpion's literally trying to kick my ass. You see it? Did you see that? I'm gonna try to do it again so you can see it. That right there. You see how he did a little jab thing right there? That is the weakness of those consumables. When you activate that consumable, you will literally be in an animation for about a second. And that second could literally cost you a ton of health. That right there is not good. It is not good at all. Also, as you saw, that rocket I was using literally slowed the Scorpion down, which would be very great down the line. But that's the thing I wanted to show you. If you use that rocket, or not rocket, these things right here, be prepared to be in an animation for a second where an opponent is constantly hounding you the entire time. Just be ready for that. Same goes for these gloves. The Magma Fist and Fist of Cold and all that stuff. If you're going to use them, be ready for it. Now, when it comes to these right here, these gauntlets here, Magma Fist and the... Is this it? No. Is that it? Yeah, Cobra's hands. I found those to be the most successful. This one right here was okay, but it only really takes your opponent's gauge. It doesn't really stop them from really hitting you. This right here was actually pretty good, but not nearly as good as the rocket. You'll hit them for a couple of seconds, and they might be slowed down for a bit, but more often than not, they're not slowed down enough for a long period of time. So that you have to watch out for. Let's see, what was the one? I think this is it. This right here, the Fist of Havoc. Do not, under any circumstance, use this. This is awful. For literally, as you know, the opponent is literally trying to kill you the entire time. But if you hit them with this, yes, it basically makes them, quote, a button masher, but it also makes them more aggressive. And they literally, the AI can't really take that whole button mashing mentality to the way it should be. So instead of just being like pressing buttons the entire time, not really moving or doing things right, instead, it'll go towards you and press everything in the book and be extremely aggressive with it the entire time. Literally, without remorse. It makes things worse. Literally worse in every single thing of it. Especially if it's like a Jax or something like that. You will get destroyed. Unless you want to do that. You want the challenge, by all means. That is all you. But if you ask me, definitely not a good idea. Turning out the lights. Never used it. Never seemed like a good idea because it's an AI. They don't really have to see they're part of the game. You know, like, what's the point? This one I didn't get till like way later down the line. I think in stage 25. I kinda used it. It was okay. It's not great. It's definitely not worth 3 slots. And you should avoid this at all costs. Same for pretty much any of these other 3 slot ones. It's not worth it. Now we get to the whole tower ones. Now, this is where I say you need to pay attention to what the tower objective says, or what the tower is named, because that can literally help you so much in the long run that it's insane. Because you can literally have a tower. There's literally a tower. I think it's the second to last stage, 29. Or maybe it's 28. It was one of those where it was Kotal Khan, and the entire stage was nothing but totems. And literally, totems can be literally the most dangerous consumable to fight against. But if you read it, you can use something like Lightstone, which disables all totem modifiers for the entire match. So basically, the worst thing about that stage, you've just taken it away. So all you're doing now is facing the opponent with no real other bullshit other than AI. That's godlike, right? This is why I say you have to pay attention to everything about the stage, because it could literally save you so much hassle if you have the right thing to use. For example, Cleansing Stone disables weather conditions for the entire match. There's literally one where Raiden has a thunderstorm literally going throughout the entire thing of the stage, and you're getting hit by lightning at random intervals, which makes it easy for Raiden to combo you for 60% damage. And you think I'm joking about that. I'm not joking. There are literally things that allow them to fatal blow you, and the fatal blow will literally kill you then and there if you have full health. This is the Gauntlet. I'm not kidding. But literally, this Cleansing Stone could literally stop the thunder from even happening. And keep in mind, that's the whole tower one. It's not taking any of the other 3 slots you can use. So you can go ham on the opponent without them going ham on you with ridiculous bullshit. That's literally what these whole tower things are for. The Blooded Kunai was definitely good because there is a tower where literally you have to finish everybody in those towers with fatal blows. I think there was like 8 towers, all with 2 matches each. I believe that was stage 14. It might have been stage 13. But this is very good. But if you have this for that stage, the Orb of the Dragon King, this can make that so much easier. Because there were lots of times during that stage of fatal blows where I had to kill everything with fatal blows, and I literally could not do it without waiting for the opponent to take me down to a certain health, and by that point in time they were probably going to hit me with a fatal blow and kill me. This supersedes that. If you have the opponent at a low enough health and all you need is the fatal blow, boom, right there. You get the fatal blow at the beginning of the match. Now, keep in mind, if you use it and you miss, you have to do the regular way. Unfortunately, it sucks, but I guess that's the price you get. But this is a whole tower one, so technically, if you really just want to, you can restart the match and do it again, and you only have to use it once for the tower, and it goes throughout the tower, which is great. So if you have this, keep this for that stage where you have to kill things with fatal blows. Trust me, you are not going to regret it. That made that stage so much easier. AMS disables rockets for the entire match, could be very good if you're getting bombarded with all kinds of rockets. Literally, there were only a few stages like that in the Gauntlet, but they mattered. So if you have them, might want to get them. I'm not 100% sure on this one, but I believe I got these in character stages from Cassie and Sonya and them. Don't quote me on that one. That one I do not know. but it doesn't hurt to check if you want to. All these other ones, like this bonus rewards for brutality, this one's actually not bad if you get them to the Tarkon invasion one, because you have to kill everything with the brutality there. Double rewards for your hearts and stuff. Might as well use it, right? But yeah, there's not really much else as far as holds, ones that I use, other than stuff like things to disable what the opponent had, or adding additional damage to mine. So whole tower ones you're probably not going to be using a lot of, and I'm not sure about this, but in my experience, I feel like using these that makes it that your attacks increase with the whole the consumables you use that use dark or chaos or anything like that. It might be a double-edged sword, I'm not sure, once again, because there were times where I had something like this and I was facing a Scarlet with one, and hers did a crap ton of damage, like a super crap ton of damage. So use these at your own risk. But I think we've hit most of the things for the towers that I can show you that I have on me. Unfortunately, there is one that if I find it, the picture of it, I will put it in the video somewhere. But there is one that is literally the top echelon, like Takeda Kunai, but better. It is literally a barrage of missiles that literally, if your opponent gets hit by one, they're going to hit by the others. And it does, I kid you not, maybe 25% damage every time you use it, maybe more. And it blew through anybody I had faced with it. It was so good that unfortunately, once again, I used it early and I never got it ever again. And it sucked. It sucked very bad because there was a lot of fights in stage 20 and 30. I wish I had those. It would have made them 10 billion times easier. But I think we're good as far as consumables go. Now, as far as the actual stages themselves, as I've been kind of talking about, there are literally ones, like this last one, where you literally cannot move. There are literally moments where your character cannot move and you are at the mercy of the opponent. This is where those ones I was telling you about really work. They attack the opponent while you're basically kind of screwed, for the most part. So ones like homing missile, ball Coaglet, bloody sigh, these kind of things that keeps the pressure up on the opponent while you literally can't move. And when I mean you can't move, I'm literally saying like you're frozen the entire time. They have a freezing mechanic that literally stops you every point of the way. They have a thing that slows you down so that when you're jumping in the air, there's literally 15 seconds gone by and you're still in the air. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. But literally stuff like this can literally save you in those type of situations. It is insane. And I think I actually might try to show you one, because I can do this again. Or not. Well, I was going to show you guys how to do it, but I guess once you're done with the gauntlet, you're done with the gauntlet. There's nothing else you can do here. Holy crap. Well, now you know. Once you beat the gauntlet, that's it. But, there are literally things. Let me see if I can just show you in maybe another tower thing or something like that. Why not? Oh no, I can't do that. I might cut all this out. Sorry, guys. Use Scarlet.
Scarlet.
Let's use. I don't want to use the ones I only have one on, because then they'll be gone. Psy, this one, and home missile. with some I have 3 of these. I can show you what it looks like. Yeah, I'm going to show you just how these things work a little bit right now. But as far as strategy goes, there are certain things that you can do to not waste your consumables. And that is something you might have already been doing in the first place. And that is using AIs.
You are enslaved by his magic.
Hold on, I'll show you this right now.
Fight.
And you see how quickly they come back. And you see, just like that, I got all my health back. This can be very great against somebody like a Kodokan or something. Now I know this is probably not the best way of playing the game, but there's literally, the game literally makes it so you can't play the game. So you gotta do what you gotta do, right? As you saw, I just stopped him from doing his attack. Finishing him off. And then I can end him with... I forgot everything. It's been a win. Sorry, guys. But as you saw, literally, that's some pretty good stuff that you can be using in the Gauntlet. It's cheap, but so is the Gauntlet. So, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Fatality. Scarlet wins.
Now, we're gonna be moving on to
Fatality.
some AI strats.
Wins.
Because literally, you could be going into a tower and not really know what to expect. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, I don't want to waste some good stuff on some stuff I could have did without myself. And this is where your AI goes. Specifically, in my opinion, the one, the only, Noob Saibot. Alright, so Noob Saibot seems to be just the absolute monster as far as AI goes. Literally, he does combos, he does all the good stuff and everything in between. But, in order for him to do the massive amount of damage, you might want to set him up a bit before you get into the whole trying to see what the tower does. So, this right here is what I have for my Noob Saibot. It seemed to do the good amount of majority as far as Gauntlet goes to show me some of the things that I might be looking out for if it didn't beat it already by itself. 28 combos, 25 reversals, 7 rushdown. These are the abilities I have on this Noob Saibot. Tele Slam, Shadow Slide, and Sickle Snag. I have Sickle Snag on there so that the noob can actually extend its combos a bit for massive damage. And I mean, using Shadow Slide is also good for extended combos for if he wants to do another combo other than the Sickle Snag. Because the noob tends to do whatever noob wants to do. But this is probably the best character to at least look and see what you're about to go up against in the towers. And this is probably going to be it for that section of it, because honestly, I mean, you could use Scarlet or you can use Liu Kang, but I found that the best results for at least knowing some typical knowledge of what you're about to go into came from Noob Saibot. But it's your game, you enjoy it the way you want to enjoy it. Oh yes, Cassie. Cassie seems to have either amazing AI when it comes to Gauntlet or trash AI when it comes to Gauntlet. Now, I'm going to show you this one as well because this one got me out of a lot of jams sometimes. Her setup right here, 7 rushdown, 30 combo, 7 reversal, 16 zoning. Now, the thing she has is her tournament variation. But I would suggest, if you really want to change Air Bullet Barrage with Shoulder Charge and her Flip Out with Flying Glow Kick. I've only changed it back to this one because I'm learning tournament variants for E-League that I'm going to be doing, so I need to know this kind of stuff as it goes along. But these were the things that I had on her during Gauntlet, and they worked fairly well for her combo damage and big damage stuff and everything in between. Plus, she has Kneecap, which is very good in itself, so there's that. Now, let's see, as far as tips for certain towers that I could possibly give you, unfortunately I can't go back, thanks NRS for that, but I'll try my best if I can. I know one of the earlier ones that people tend to fall off with are Jackie and Cassie, which I honestly just use the AIs for those. They seem to have done the job, so it is what it is on that. And Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn, I immediately use Scarlet and use everything in my power to keep him to the other side of the screen. Now, I know you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what about when he's armored? And that is when this came into play, the Crippling Spike Guard. Because when he's armored, you use this, and then bang bang boom, you're hitting him and pushing him back still with Scarlet's good techniques. And then when he has that literally 3-hit bullshit that he has, you've already kept him far enough away so that he can't touch you with the rockets and Scarlet's zoning. Now, this may work with Cetron, I don't know, but I had the best results with Scarlet, so there's that. Now, there's another one, speaking of Scarlet, that literally has 3 versions of her that I believe is in stage 24. And it literally is made so that Scarlet literally heals almost faster than you can beat her. And you have to find a way to beat her before that happens. That, or you can go the extremely long route and possibly hit her, and you have flawless victory on her, sort of, during the last second of the match. That's up to you, but the matches tend to run 260 seconds, so good luck with that. But this right there is where Magma Fist comes in, because it stops that healing process so that you're beating her down and she's not healing herself. And she starts at 50%, so all you have to do is do your biggest damaging combos and you should be able to defeat her. That's what you need to be doing for that stage. Now, as far as one that really got under people's skin, though I did hear it was nerfed, is a flawless victory with Sub-Zero versus Scorpion. This is also where Magma Fist comes in. Magma Fist is very good for this thing as well. However, it depends on the character that you're using for Magma Fist to have the fullest effect that you need it to be. This is where Raiden comes in. Now, like I said, it might have been fixed at this point, but at the time when I did it, what literally would happen was you had to get a flawless victory, but you couldn't jump because you would go into a gas that would literally make it so that you would lose health, and you could duck because the same thing would happen. So you had to have somebody who could literally just do things fairly quickly in order to get the job done. And there was a glitch at the time to where if your character was at a certain height, they were already getting affected by the ground gas. So I couldn't use Cassie or any of the others except for Raiden, which Raiden was just tall enough to do so. Now, this Magma Fist thing worked pretty well. However, there was one other thing I used called, I believe, Jekyll's Orb. I don't have any more of those, but they're a red orb. Literally, they cost 1 slot. By using it, you don't lose health for the duration of when it's active. If you can use those 2 things, you'll kill Scorpion and Sub-Zero like that. Like, easily. with Raiden's 112, forward 112, or for casuals that don't know what that means, forward square square triangle. That's all you literally have to use. Now you might not get it the first time, but you're going to see the results if you use what I've told you. I promise you. And I believe that is all I can really hit as far as tips and tricks for the Gauntlet. I wish I could show you more. I kind of wish that it wasn't to the point to where I couldn't go back into the Gauntlet to at least to show you stage 30. But I guess that's NRS's way of just saying, hey, stop doing this. You're done. Stop being a masochist, I guess. But yeah, I hope this was very insightful for you. I hope it helps you to get to where you want to be, which is stage 30, so you can get this costume for Liu Kang, which I find is extremely cool. That it was worth it? No, let's be honest here. Definitely not worth it, especially since he has three to four other ones that you can unlock down here as well. That might be more fancy in your color. I would love this one. This one would be more my speed, but I got it. And now you have the ability and the tools and the knowledge, hopefully now, to get it yourself. I can show you the other ones as well, if you're more interested in the Kung Lao version. I'm not fully sure which one was which, but just in case, I'm going to show you both of them. It's one of these two. I got one of these from a tower thing where you got 3 of them way back, but this other one, whichever one it is the other one you get from the Gauntlet. So definitely keep that in mind if you're more of a Kung Lao person. And now as far as Garrus goes, I don't use Garrus, so sorry in advance to Garrus players. It was this one. No. Yeah, I believe it was that one. Because that one's the one that makes most sense. I could be wrong. But yeah. I'm not a Garrus player. The Garrus one really wasn't the one I was looking for. Sorry guys. That's my bad. I probably should have looked that up beforehand, but I mean, you know that you're getting a Garrus one too, so if that's what you want, go for it. And I wish you all the best of luck. I know that this is hard. I know that it seems impossible, but I did it and you can too. So thank you all for watching, and ask yourself this one question. Does your soul still burn? Bye guys. Have a blessed day. Fire God, Liu Kang, yeah! Well, I'm sorry.